Good morning, EDCI 706ers, Dr. Palermo on November 2nd with a week 10 instructional video. Elizabeth is having a rough time downstream in Fayetteville, Cumberland County, with long school outages and other after effects of the flooding from Hurricane Matthew. Please remember Elizabeth's thoughts and prayers. As we go forward, Chapter 10, diffusion perspective this week, and I've seen PLCPAs, FCEPAs are due at the end of the week, November 8th. About those two things, those are in Blackboard now, and those are formative assessments, which means that I will open them, save a file, read it, edit it. I'm spending at least an hour or more on each of those documents now, so it's going to take me a little time to work through them. But when you get it back in a day or so, it should be ready for, I hope, you'll have enough feedback to make the changes and edits and then upload it into TaskStream. If you don't remember, I don't assign a grade now, but I do address each of the points of the rubric and will give you an edited copy back. Is that perfect? You didn't pay me enough to be perfect with it, but I'm going to give you my perspective. And I'm going to try to give it my best reading aligned with the rubric and give you feedback about what I would do to fix it before I put it in TaskStream. And by the way, I'm going to read it again in TaskStream, so make sure that you fix all of the things that I note and comment on and edit, please. So I'm reading PLCPAs and FCEPAs are due next week. I know that's your major to do this week. But Chapter 10 in Hall and Hoard is a lot of fun, and it brings us full circle to something that was brought up in week 2 or 3, the notion of that network. What was that called? I'll get to that in just a minute. Let me minimize the screen so you can, or share my screen so that you can see that. Okay, yeah, implementing change, Chapter 10, and this week that the sociogram. Yeah. Sitting at the faculty meeting or at lunch or in the faculty lounge and diagramming the conversations. Who sits with whom? If you got a faculty meeting coming up Monday, this would be perfect. If not, sit in the faculty lounge or sit in the cafeteria. Who sits with whom? Label things, and for a 20-minute or 15-minute period, diagram the conversations. Who's speaking with whom? Who seems to be a real change agent? Who's the person who's speaking the most, or that folks are listening to and paying attention to? This chapter, Chapter 10, is all about communication and the diffusion of communication and ideas within an organization, in this case in your school. The diffusion theory or model is interesting. It's not earth-shattering, but the idea that that there can be networks of communication proven with data in Illinois gifted and talented programs, but you know it happens in schools. Who's networking in the school? Where are the main channels of communication? Where are the hot spots that you avoid or that you go to when you want to influence communication? It also circles around to ideas from Schlechte and the Frontiers, early adopters. Who are the innovators? Who are the early adopters? And a pretty fascinating idea about this S-curve. Check that out in figure 10.5. It suggests that when you, as a change agent or leader in the school, is trying to implement something new, a new innovation, that if you get the innovators and the early adopters on board, that's your critical mass that you need for something to then be sustained. And so an interesting application of the theory there. Again, those innovators, early adopters ought to be familiar to you if you think about the Schlechte settler model on the frontiers. And well, great stuff in this chapter, and stuff that I hope you would feel that is applicable to quote when you are writing any kinds of change projects. Your FCEPA and PLCPA are change projects. So at some point, you are going to try to influence change. Who are your early adopters that you're going to? Who are your change agents that you're actively feeding with those change ideas that you want to implement at your school. So good stuff, but also stuff that I hope that you'll be able to apply in your projects. And I know you're deep writing your projects. Again, I feel like the best thing that I can do is try to stay on top of your formative feedback, give you good formative feedback, and then ask you to then load these things into TaskStream, where again, I will be one of the second of two summative evaluators who will put the grades on that will then come back and be reflected in Blackboard. We did that last semester, but I hope you remember that's the way it works. You'll get feedback from me. I will address the rubric items. I will edit your paper, but I won't give it a grade in Blackboard now. Okay, so that's formative. Fix it, obviously. When you get an opportunity for formative feedback, make sure you fix those things. That's all I have for this week, ladies. It is a fun reading. I hope that you can use that in the sociogram idea. Again, diagram some communication at your school. Doesn't need to be fancy or long, but diagram it and then take a picture of that and upload it for us. Include your sociogram with your discussion submission this week. Thanks. That's all I've got for you. Right on, and see you in a couple of weeks.